Hello there. Welcome to the Pit of Tangents. We're finally going to do something political. I figured what better way to start than taking the political compass test. I know. Technically, it's been memed to death, and also the questions are quite biased in a way that it is designed for you to end up with libertarian left, or at least so I believe. We'll get to that as we take the questionnaire. I think this is a good place to start, so that you pretty much get a general idea of where I am in regards to the political spectrum and how I confront or how I perceive these social and economic questions or propositions, as the test would say, and also something to look back upon. Honestly, so we start with the political compass, and which will end up with a particular result. Where then after probably a year or two, this is something to look back upon, and probably I would retake it and see how my answers have changed or how my views have changed. So yeah, don't be surprised if I make a ton of dumbass takes because, even though I've been, more politically engaged over the past 2 years, there's still a lot to learn. There are still many things that I still don't know the answers to, where I still feel a bit iffy, where I'm still on shaky grounds, perhaps. Yeah. So anyway, some introduction. The political compass test can be categorized into 4 quadrants, where in the y-axis, that's the vertical axis, right? Vertical axis. Let's just call it the vertical axis. In the vertical axis, you have left and right. And in the x-axis, the horizontal axis, we have authoritarian and libertarian. Now, from that alone, I'm quite surprised already to see that, because for the politically uninitiated, or let's say in a country like Indonesia, I would argue that most people would think whenever they hear the left, they will just equate it to people like Stalin, for instance, which generally falls on the authoritarian spectrum on the left. Left-leaning, yes, but on the authoritarian. But things have changed a lot, apparently, or maybe they have not changed. Actually, a lot of left-leaning people tend to see that what Stalin did is a bastardization of leftist values. And actually, what we strive for, the true leftists, so to say, are libertarian ones, that we actually strive for freedom. We do not want more dictators. There's that. That in and of itself is already quite mind-blowing for me at the time, because, in our school system, educational system, even until university level, I took economics, by the way, the only version of communism that we were taught was, it's centralized planning. It's centralized planning. It's the government holding the entire thing. It's basically like the meme.
Socialism is when the government does stuff. And it's more socialism the more stuff it does. And if it does a real lot of stuff, it's communism.
Oh boy. To think that I used to believe that. But, well. Anywho, all right, let's just... before I go on a tangent, let's just let the survey speak for itself. Let the question speak for itself. So here's the test. It is the political compass test. It's been 20 years apparently, so that's cool. There's a disclaimer here. Before taking the test, please note that this isn't a survey, okay? And these aren't questions. They're propositions. Yeah, that is actually a good thing. In answering these questions, I have taken this test before a couple of times, and I always get libertarian left. But usually when I answer these questions, I just answer intuitively without really thinking too much about it. Whereas now, I want to be as consistent as possible. And since these are technically propositions, I need to look at them as if we're talking about the ideal world that I want. So there's that. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. And that's how we can show you whether you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Okay. Moderation means that you're somewhere more in the center rather than in the extreme points, I guess. Your responses should not be overthought. I kind of want to, though. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. Okay, so while the website says that you shouldn't put too much thought into it, but that kind of beats the purpose of me trying to make this video, because like what I want is to actually walk you through on my stance in regards to these issues, these propositions, as the website says. So let's just get right to it. Let's see. Page 1 of 6. Just a few propositions to start with concerning, no less, how you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I think this is quite straightforward because, of course, you want to prioritize humanity, you want to prioritize people. To say that transnational corporations' interests supersedes humanity, it's quite a self-centered way of looking at things, I suppose. So yeah, this is already starting to show like the bias of this survey, because you're only a piece of shit if you don't answer strongly agree. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Now, this appeals to your nationalist tendencies, which, of course, I strongly disagree, because authorities are meant to be questioned. Because, of course, your country can be wrong. And if you feel like there's something iffy about it, it is their responsibility, like the state in this case, to answer, to explain themselves so that they don't they don't do wrong things. That's basically it, I guess. No one chooses their country of birth, so it is foolish to be proud of it. Now, while it is true that no one chooses their country of birth, I think you can be proud of your country. I don't see why wouldn't you. Again, nationalist tendency, which I guess in this case it's quite valid. If your country is doing well, why not be proud of it? Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. So, obviously, strongly disagree. Should I get into this? Obviously, if you answer anything but disagree or strongly disagree, it kind of makes you a racist to some extent. So, like, let's say if you're a Nazi, you're a white supremacist, you think that, white people are inherently superior to other races, whether you're black or Asian or whatnot. I don't know, man. So this kind of appeals to this thing called race realism, where you feel like there's actually a meaningful distinction between races in regards to their superiority, be it average IQ, height, bone density, and whatnot. It's a very weird way of looking at things, because obviously, while it is true that what you are genetically predisposed with can be a contributing factor to your success in life, but by the end of the day, it is your environment that has the critical role of developing you. So regardless of you having like a higher average IQ, which these race realist people tend to believe, but if you don't really do anything about it, does it really make you superior? So, I don't know. Right, next one. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think this speaks more about being pragmatic in regards to approaching your enemies. I guess in this case, it's about like other countries. So, I guess I'll put agree. Yeah, I'll put agree. Soft agree on that one. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Now, this is one of the things that I'm quite uncomfortable with sometimes, if you think about it. So, I don't think I have the proper understanding of what international law is. Like, is it genocide? If it is genocide, then yeah, of course I don't want that. Even if, let's say, go back to the Nazi thing again. Let's say Nazi Germany. Some military action would definitely be justified to quell the Nazis, but Yeah. I think it's quite easy. That of course I guess I'll put disagree, because sometimes, well, your hands are tied, that you're left with no options but commit atrocities. So yeah, so soft disagree. Next, there's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. Yeah, I think we've gone beyond the era of information, because like generally people have access to just about any information, right? But it is how they are curated. I think I see that on Twitter at one point, that now it is an era of curated information. Of course, when you present information in a certain way, we start to get into the entertainment aspect. There's a reason why people are. There's a reason why, let's say, shows like, what's his name? Hassan Minhaj? Yeah, Hassan Minhaj with the Patriot Act, which is sadly cancelled, even though I actually quite enjoy it, because it's a very bite-sized information presented in such a way that appeals to people in general. And also that other guy, I forgot his name. Just show it on screen somehow. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, strongly agree. It's quite worrying though. It is worrying, even though I've only presented like good examples, but there are also bad examples. Because like, if you're an effective rhetorician, if you're an effective speaker, you can spread misinformation in a way that gravitates to the general populace. Donald Trump will be the the easiest example that you can get to. He's very succinct in presenting his speeches whenever he's like debating, when he was debating Hillary Clinton, or during the general Republican debate as well, the GOP. He's very succinct. He doesn't go around. He always hones into the same points on how, oh yeah, the immigrants are taking your job away. Always all China. Always all Mexico. We're going to build a wall. And yeah, that's why he basically got elected, because yeah, he's effective. Despite of him being a very deplorable human being, he's very effective. So there's that. So it is concerning. Next page. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. What is this? Now, oh, sorry, I haven't read the intro. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index. I think that's some kind of stock index of some sort. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Well, I guess, yeah. Because like, let's say like if you're a poor person, I'm pretty sure that you'll find more similarity amongst a poor person here and a poor person in the United States, for instance. You'll find more similarity, that you're facing the same issues, that you are confronted with people who seeks to keep you there, so that they can maintain their own wealth, their own power, and whatnot. So because of that, I think I'm gonna answer strongly agree. Yes. All right. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I know I've answered disagree here. Like I tried explaining why, but I kind of stumbled a bit, because like, again, I think this is where the whole focusing on that we're talking about the ideal world. We should hold on to that in answering these questions. Now, you see, intuitively, I would immediately say disagree. Not strongly disagree, which I will get to why. I get to the reason. Because, like, in my opinion, like, it doesn't really matter if you have stable price increases, which is what inflation means, in case you don't know, if you're unemployed. In the current society, that is. In the current society, if you're not employed, because then it doesn't really matter, because you wouldn't be able to afford anything. You don't have income. Of course, yeah, there's some level of social safety net that we have right now, but it's barely enough. So no, controlling unemployment becomes more important here. That is why I answered disagree. Why soft disagree? Because technically, there is some merit to controlling prices. Because there's this thing. Okay, maybe I should get a bit more technical. There's this thing called the Phillips curve, right? on the vertical axis, you have inflation, and then on the horizontal axis, you have unemployment. The idea is that you have inverse relations. It's easier. You have inverse relations between inflation and unemployment. If inflation increases, then unemployment would decrease. No, sorry. No, it's easier to explain if we start with unemployment as the main trigger. If unemployment decreases, then inflation would increase. Why, you might ask? Because as people get employed, they get more income. That means they have higher purchasing power. Now, the higher purchasing power will be interpreted by the market as, well, more demand, higher purchasing power, like I mentioned before, which would lead to price hikes because you can afford more stuff. So yeah, even though I know that if you think hard enough, that proposition doesn't really make any sense, because like, why would you increase the prices? Because like, you have more people that can afford your goods. If you increase your prices, then they won't be able to afford them, which is why, like, empirically speaking, there are plenty of studies that has actually debunked this model, because again, this is actually a model, a theory, a simplification of sorts on how the world works, when in actuality it's far more complicated. It doesn't always work that way. So yeah, what I'm trying to get at here is that by the end of the day, it's always unemployment is much more important. You want to keep people employed so that they can actually purchase things, they can actually meet their basic needs at the very least, if not more. So there's that. And besides, like, if it turns out the market interprets that as, oh, I'm just going to increase the prices, then fuck you. We're just going to increase the minimum wage so that they can afford these goods. There's a threshold there, I guess. So disagree. Although God, we're spending way too much time in this question. Although in an ideal society, given that there is a proper social safety net where people are guaranteed basic income without it being tied to employment status, then controlling inflation would probably be more important. God damn it, man. Nah, I'm just gonna say disagree. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that. Okay, next one. I'm really sorry that it took forever to answer that question. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. This goes into the concept of the Pigovian tax, where you try to internalize the cost of externalities. Externalities are those that are not exactly captured in the economy, where it doesn't really have a market per se in a conventional sense, which is why that you want to tax them based on the cost of these externalities. One of them is, say, if you pollute the environment, if you emit carbon dioxide, if you produce waste in your production process, then technically it does come at the cost of the environment. So therefore, it needs to be either taxed, or there's also the carbon cap and trade, for instance. That is where you sell permits, in a sense. You sell permits to corporations, or even in a nationwide scale. So from these permits, you're only allowed to pollute to a certain extent, where if you exceed that amount, then you will be penalized. So yeah, I don't think so. I would answer strongly agree, out of the basis that corporations, they generally are profit oriented. Given that there are no strong social upheaval, or like if society is not as socially aware, environmentally aware, for instance, then they wouldn't care. Therefore, they require regulation. Obviously, that you can actually I was about to say that given that the people actually demand more environments, or let's say green companies for short, they demand for green companies, the regulations may appear obsolete, but I would say even at that point where the corporations were actually bow down to the demands of the people, then the regulation will serve more as a safeguard rather than a coercive force, so to say, to keep corporations in check. Okay, so strongly agree. Next one, from each according to his ability to each according to his need, is a fundamentally good idea. Now, this is a very one of the most famous quotes from Marx. I think it was in the Communist Manifesto, if not in Das Kapital. I will check. Please check, editor. And the general proposition is that, well, what you contribute to society is dependent on what you can actually do. Let's say if you are, Let's say if you are a cook, you produce food, and so that's what you do, right? You produce food for society, and to each according to his need means that you can get whatever you want, which qualifies as your need. So you produce food, but you also can get a house. You can also get clothing, and all of that. So you might be thinking to yourself, wait, so what's the difference with how things work right now? You provide a good or service, and then you buy the things that you need. Let's focus on the word buy, okay? Because the amount of things that you can buy is highly dependent upon the amount in which you are compensated, your wage, how much your good sells at. And that creates a problem. Let's say that you're in an occupation that doesn't really pay you well. We're not even talking about livable wage, because sometimes, more often than not, even if you get minimum wage, that is usually not sufficient to get a proper living, you know? And sometimes as well, in that occupation, even if you have worked for years, you don't really advance much in terms of, meeting your material needs. Now that is what this proposition intends to break, that it should not be dependent on that. Why should we leave it to the market in this case, which is dictated by money, in which people ascribe value to it, and so on and so forth? Some disclaimer though, I do believe that this proposition can only work with some pre-qualifying conditions. One, we have to reach some level of automation. This really applies to thankless jobs, okay? Because that is where this whole issue arises, that when people do thankless jobs, they don't get properly compensated because, well, they're thankless. There are a shit ton of people who would take their place if they don't do it. But unfortunately, a lot of people they have to do it. They're coerced into doing it to some extent, because if they don't do it, they'll die. They'll starve. They wouldn't have any income at all. If people can actually get whatever they want, then there's that concern that they won't be incentivized to do these things, these thankless jobs. Therefore, they can be automated, for instance, or in other case, then if we haven't reached that level of automation, then we can delegate it to people. Like, people can take rounds of doing these jobs, which they will voluntarily do. We can democratically decide and whatnot. But yeah, so generally, I do believe, while holding on to how we're talking about an ideal world, I do think that this is fundamentally a good idea. So, strongly agree. Next one, the freer the market, the freer the people. Strongly disagree. There's such a thing as negative freedom. So basically, that there are certain freedoms in which that needs to be limited to some extent. The easiest example, obviously, if people are ultimately free, we can just go around and kill people, right? So, yeah, no, it's not inherently true. Wait, but then again, to some extent, that is true, that the freer the market, the freer the people. So I'm just gonna put light disagree, I guess. Yeah, because currently there are plenty of constraints in the market that is actually disadvantageous for society. So you can actually become freer if we alleviate these constraints, these limitations, but only to a certain extent. That is where the nuance comes in. So I would put it disagree. Yeah, let's go with that. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Yep, it is sad, because it is a basic need. Why does it have to be it's just water? Everyone should have access to it. Why is it that it has actually become something so scarce that some people don't have access to it? Some people are become malnutrition because of that, lack of hygiene and all that. So yeah, it's quite sad, because ideally, what I want is for these basic goods to be decommodified. I think I've mentioned that before. Sorry, this is quite a long recording, I would say, where I have to jump from one thought to the other. They should be decommodified, that everyone should have equal access to it, because these basic needs are the ones that have the most contributing factor in determining your success in life, in what you can do with your life. So yeah, strongly agree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Yes, strongly agree. Like ideally, I guess I would want people to have equal sizes of land, ideal sizes of land, the amount of which can be discussed, of course. And of course, there's also like a subject of like, should people have individual houses, or should everyone have like public housing, or like multi-story live in multi-story buildings with huge parks in the middle where you can actually enjoy the outdoors and whatnot. But yeah, I do think that it shouldn't be commodified, because there are tons of issues that come with it, where people hang on a bit. Should people be allowed to sell their land if they so choose? In an ideal society, I guess the only reason why they would want to sell their land is so that they would move. So they could move to a different place. But in my ideal world, money wouldn't even exist. That shouldn't be a matter. So I guess I'll just put strongly agree. Yeah. Okay. Next one. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. It's a very emotionally charged statement now. Manipulate money. You ascribe a lot of morals into that, moral weight to it. Obviously, you can talk about like people playing with stocks or foreign exchange or whatnot, where a lot of people who don't have access or the knowledge to it gets affected by it. So, but they do contribute. Well, they contribute negatively to some extent, but yeah, I'll say agree. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna put agree, soft agree. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. Yeah. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Agree. That would be my immediate reaction, especially from a perspective of a developing nation, because like the comparative advantage between one country to another, especially between a developing and a developed one, can be so vast, so wide, to a point that if there's no restrictions whatsoever, because like if you're a developed nation, you've benefited from technological advances, which contributes to your return to scale. The easier way of explaining it is efficiency. If you have better technology, you can produce more with less time, less people, hence less price. You can produce it cheaper. Due to that advantage, yeah, without some restrictions, then there will be less opportunities in the developing nations that are severely lagging behind. And besides, although in an ideal society, there shouldn't be any protectionism at all. So yeah, I think this appeals more towards how things are right now. So I would say agree, a soft agree, because like there's a huge body of evidence that tends to side with free trade, which I agree, because like why? We shouldn't need any of these measures in an ideal society. But unfortunately, a lot of people abuse that, so therefore agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Strongly disagree. Obviously, not everything is about profit. I mean, all right, if you want to produce profit as much as possible, let's just enslave humanity, right? Therefore, it drives down costs, right? So, more profit? No, strongly disagree. That is quite easy. The rich are too highly taxed. Strongly disagree. Again, because like in the current tax systems in any country, I believe they're just, well, except very progressive ones, I suppose. There's a shit ton of loopholes where you have tax havens like the Cayman Islands and the Panama paper shenanigans, where you can just escape with your money, where you don't have to pay taxes. And there's also like a ton of loopholes where you will be I guess this is the easiest way to explain it. Like there's this report by the Institution of Tax and Economics Policy, ITEP. I probably get the acronym wrong there, where the effective tax rate, which is like the actual amount that that an individual and an entity pays, the result is that a lot of them pays zero, if not negative tax rates, which is a very concerning thing. Like even here in Indonesia, regrettably, even though we have a relatively high income tax rate, corporate tax rate, which is 25%, a flat one at that, by the way, in reality, a lot of them only pays around 10%. This is kind of like an industry insight, because like I know some people working in the transfer pricing in the transfer pricing industry, I guess, if you want to call it that way, where basically what transfer pricing is that people can reduce their taxes by reallocating some of their business processes to other countries that have more lenient tax rates, and therefore they pay their effective tax rates become reduced. So yeah, I don't think they're highly taxed. They're not taxed enough, but mind you, be careful when you hear propositions like, oh, we need to increase the tax rate to 90%. It is when you hear that, it's not the nominal tax rate, it is the marginal tax rate. There's a difference, okay? Oh god, I'm making it really hard. You know what? Just look it up. Marginal tax rate, okay? Not nominal tax rate. For that, I will definitely disagree. If we are talking about 90% nominal tax rate, definitely go for marginal. Okay, next one. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. No, medical care is a basic need, okay, which has universally positive benefits for everyone, right? So strongly disagree, because like it's just a net benefit if everyone has the same standard of healthcare. It guarantees productivity, it guarantees your well-being, which means it guarantees like the extent to which you can contribute to society. So strongly disagree. Everyone should have equal access, equal quality, equal standard of medical care. Just basic needs. It's a basic need. Please remember that, okay? Right, next one. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Strongly agree, I would say. Yeah, because if you are proven in court that you are misleading people, let's say an easiest example, you market your products that they are organic, for instance, or they don't contain poisonous materials, but in reality it does, then you should be penalized. Like, why not? So next one. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Strongly agree. Yes, again, this goes back to positive and negative freedom. And in the case of multinational companies, obviously, if you're a multinational company, you have more, you have the benefit of technological advancement, and then which means you have better scale, which means you can just eliminate the competition in the countries that don't have that superiority, that don't have the comparative advantage. So there should be some restrictions in regards to limiting a company's market power. So next page. Right, page 3. Now look at some of your personal social values. Okay, hopefully this wouldn't take that long, as long. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Oof, okay. Depending on how you, like, my immediate reaction, okay, I would definitely say strongly disagree. If you want to get an abortion, you should be able to get an abortion, regardless of the reasons. Although that there should be some kind of screening process to some extent, where the people in charge of it would walk them through, like, hey, these are the procedures that you're will be going through, and these are the potential side effects, these are the post-treatment that you need to go through, which could lead to this and that. I think that's the minimum requirement for any abortion to be legal, so that everyone is aware, so that to some extent you're still guaranteed some level of responsibility, that you should not just go around and have unprotected sex and get abortions every year, for instance. Because yeah, there are actually some meaningful harm that it would do to your body. So yeah, I would say I guess disagree. There are some cases where it should be illegal if people are abusing the system. Yeah. Oof. Quite iffy. I said that I wanted to do this quicker. Wait, sorry. Oh god. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree. Definitely. Yes. And if they fail to explain it in a way that makes you able to understand it, then it's their fault. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Nope, strongly disagree. I hate this kind of like revenge sort of way of looking at things. So no, strongly disagree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. What? Nah, strongly disagree. Come on. I mean, I'm trying to understand, in case that I'm just biased because I love theaters, I love museums. Because like even now, museums, for instance, they don't really sustain themselves. They're generally free as well. We're talking about knowledge. Why should knowledge be commodified? Yeah, let's go with that. Why should knowledge be commodified? And theaters should not as well. Like, they're basic entertainment. People should be allowed to enjoy them. Even movie theaters, I guess, to some extent. So yeah, strongly agree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Strongly agree. Heck yeah. Because like, I mean, they're talking about individual responsibility, right? So even if you don't attend the classes, but if you're able to learn them by yourself and you're able to pass the tests, then yeah, why not? I mean, of course, if you're talking about like socialization and whatnot, you can do that outside of school. It should not hinge upon whether or not you attend classes. Because like in reality, like, I don't know, like people tend to make that argument against homeschooling. But if you think about it, if you go to school is not just about what you do in the classroom setting. There's also extracurricular activities where you can socialize even better compared to classrooms. Because in classes, you're supposed to focus on the teacher. You're not there to socialize. So yeah, again, should not be compulsory. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Ooh, strongly disagree. No way. Like we need to be able to sort out our differences. Yeah. It is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Yeah, that's quite there's implied bigotry there. Definitely. And xenophobic. Oh, so no. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Okay, was not expecting this question. Maybe not spank. Like a strong talking, a stern talking to children. Definitely no physical violence whatsoever. Because, yeah, there's just a ton of negative ramifications that it would have. And I'm not just talking about DDLG type of kink. Okay? No. Not just becoming a masochist. Alright? It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yeah, strongly agree. It's very natural. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just part of growing up. Sometimes they're just not comfortable explaining. Obviously, like as a parent, you need to make sure that you make an environment that is as comfortable as possible for the kids to communicate what they're going through. So, but even then, I believe that they're bound to have some secrets, which is fine. Again, another weird question. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly. Wait, I'm just gonna put agree. Hang on. Because like I understand that this is kind of a thing in America where people are like, why is it criminalized? But Yeah. Hang on. It should not be a criminal offense. However, if it does reach addiction level, there should be some intervention of sorts, like rehabilitation and whatnot. They should not go to prison, like just to go to rehab, I guess. So strongly agree. Yeah. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Strongly disagree. Yeah, strongly disagree. It's not to find jobs, it's to develop your way of thinking. No. Not just to find jobs, my god. Because, like, alright, schools should not just be about, like, providing all the materials, like STEM, like science, math, or social sciences, economics, or history. It should also, like, to provide how to survive as a person, be it financial education or sex education. So yeah, I strongly disagree. No. But okay, fine. We are talking about prime function. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll say agree, but I'm quite iffy about this. But I can't put my finger on it. Let's say disagree. I think my main issue is with the term to find jobs, because that basically necessitates that you have to find a job, which I don't entirely agree with in regards to like how it is perceived in today's society. It's to get money, meet your needs, so on and so forth. When going back to the whole to each according to its ability, to each according to his needs, it contradicts that. So yeah, I'll put disagree on that one. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Oof. Disagree. Yeah. It's not fair for the future generation. Because one, they weren't asked to be born with disabilities. But then at the same time, why... Oh, wait, hang on. I was about to say, like, why shouldn't disabled people be allowed to raise kids? Orphans. Yeah. Let's go with that. So, yeah. Strongly disagree. Because, yeah. Oof. I'm gonna get a lot of backfire. It's okay, let's just put disagree just to be safe. Next one. The most important thing for children is to learn to accept discipline. It's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to be kind, compassionate, understanding, to build tolerance. So disagree. It's not the most important thing. It's one of the important things. So like saying the most important thing as if it has a very essentialist view in a way that it is the single thing. So disagree. So yeah. Next one. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Agree. Like let's say, it depends on your viewpoints. It depends on your perspective, your environment that you were raised in. I don't think it's wise to call people savages for different cultures. But let's say that a certain group of people are cannibals. Let's go with that. Then obviously that's a deplorable thing to do, in where there has to be some tactful way of approaching them so that they stop doing that. Yeah. There are lines in which, hey, these are things that should not be done. But I guess I don't really like the term savage and civilized people. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put strongly agree on that. Next one. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Now, they should want to work. Because like... Yeah, I strongly disagree. No. Because like, okay, what do you mean by able to work? Just being an able-bodied person? What kind of work as well? If the opportunity doesn't match their desires, their passion, they should not be expected to work, to do those jobs, to take those jobs. So, strongly disagree on that. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. No, what the fuck? Sorry. Strongly disagree. No, you need to confront them, obviously. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. No, I think a lot of that has to do with like how welcoming the one who accepts these immigrants. Cause like, yeah, strongly disagree. Obviously, like if the recipient they reject these new people, then it creates a hostile environment, right? So of course they won't fully integrate. But if you welcome them with open arms, and given that these immigrants go to this country because they wanted to, not being coerced, or not because they're drug mules, not because they were brought there against their will, then yeah, of course they can. So strongly disagree. What's good for the most successful corporations is always, ultimately, good for all of us. Huh? What's good for the most successful corporations? Well, it depends on what qualifies as a good thing. Because if it's just profit, then no, it's not always a good thing. So strongly disagree. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I think it should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine. Cause like, alright, in an ideal society where, like the amount of funds that the government can allocate is not dependent on whether or not how supportive these institutions are towards the incumbent, the current government. Yeah, they should always be able to do that. So strongly disagree. But you say should. Should they receive public funding? I don't see why not. Yeah, strongly disagree. Okay, next. And how you see the wider society. Part 4. God, this is going to be a pretty long video. I can already see that. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I guess we're talking about the Patriot Act, government oversight, and whatnot. I wouldn't say excessively. It is curbed in the sense that the ones running the government, the ones who are actually doing the oversight, are, well, questionable. So yeah, I would say agree, I guess. Or disagree? I'll put disagree, yeah. Because like, in an ideal society, I do think it's okay. It should be okay. Yeah, that the government should have proper knowledge in regards to what's going on. Because we cannot really keep tabs on everything. What if, say, suddenly some extremist group starts to grow, and yeah, people should be allowed to know. And unfortunately, one of the ways of doing so is to, well, infringe on your freedom to some extent. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. If it is actually a properly democratic political system, and where in that political party there's no, I don't know, chairman or whatnot, then it can be a good thing. But like the arguments, I don't really approve the reasoning behind it, that it's to avoid the arguments. No, you want arguments. You should have arguments. Yeah, I would strongly disagree on that. Because you would always have arguments, even in a one-party state. Anyway, as people try to fight over or campaign themselves as they were about to be elected. So, yeah. In the grand scheme of things, like if you're in a truly democratic society, they are one party. They are all potential government officials. So, obviously, like there's this appeals to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and yeah, the way that they go about things, like I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Like I guess I'm going to assign weight to the whole, that to avoid arguments. So yeah, strongly disagree. Nor do I want a 50-party state like what we have right now. If not more, I'm not even sure at this point. They keep making new political parties every year. God. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers needs to be worried. Yeah, strongly agree. I guess that this goes back to the first question about the whole liberty, civil liberties. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Now, this is one of the things that I used to believe in, that in order to prevent people from committing atrocities, you should just have death penalties, subject them to that, so that it becomes a deterrent, a prevention for these people to commit these crimes. I had this discussion with my ex at the time, which she changed my mind, because but not in a oh, it's human rights, you're infringing on that kind of way, but she made me rethink that, hey, these people have functions, like instead of just killing them, it's almost too easy for them. It's an easy way out almost. Why not subject them to, say, doing community service, sweeping the floors, sweeping the rows, or even provide public entertainment. They can be in a public square where people can throw tomatoes at them. I mean, I think it could be fun. That would be an even more effective deterrent, in my opinion, because they have to suffer through years and years of embarrassment. Oh, and probably exile their family too. But although that's probably unfair, because sometimes they don't even know that they're the person doing it is actually doing it. And generally, like, if you think about it, if you already believe that it's okay to do atrocities, maybe you don't even care about your family. So yeah, I don't know. I would say strongly disagree. No. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Strongly disagree. Commanded, that and obeyed. No. Especially in a civilized society. Because why? What for? Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Strongly disagree. Because art is subjective in a lot of ways. Okay, fine, there are some objective qualities to it, but then by the end of the day, the extent to which you find enjoyment, fulfillment from it, it's subjective. Yeah, I say strongly disagree. I don't know. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Strongly disagree. Everything is about rehabilitation. Should be more important. No, rehabilitation is supposed to be the other way around. The rehabilitation should be more important, so that once they have served their time, they can actually reintegrate with society, rather than being socially dysfunctional people, which would probably lead them to more crimes. So no, strongly disagree. It should be the other way around. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. No, you should always try. Yeah, strongly disagree. Rehabilitative justice instead of, what's the other term? I forgot. Yeah. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. No, they should be equally important. Yeah. What the hell? No. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. No. It's a choice, okay? Let's say you're in a household, because this is already heteronormative in a way that, if you have a household, it should be mothers and fathers. No. It can be a father and a father. It can be a mother and a mother. Or it can be a single mom. It can be a single dad. So yeah, no, strongly disagree. It shouldn't be their first duty. It should be up to them. And obviously you have babysitters and whatnot, where you can kind of split tasks, split responsibilities. You should still be there for your child, of course, but yeah. Next one. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Wait, what? Unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources. I may be reading this wrong. What are we talking about? GMOs? Okay, like if you only see the word multinational companies and unethically exploiting developing countries, then yeah, I would strongly agree. Because they're taking advantage on more lax environmental and labor regulations, so they're exploiting. So I would say I strongly agree. But the plant genetic resources, I'm not sure about that. Next one. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. No. If the establishment is fucked up, then no, we should not make peace with it. We should fight against it. So disagree. Light disagree. Because no, strongly disagree. Fuck that. No. Yeah, I don't like the sentiment there. Next page. Page 5. We're quite close to the end, thankfully. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. It's just a fun thing to talk about. Hey, what is this about? If you got through that, okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh, religion. Okay. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. No, what the hell? Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. No, strongly disagree. Because it's not scalable enough. Why not have them work together in tandem? Why not have charity organizations be the ones who are in charge of ensuring the allocation of these social securities so that they're well targeted, they're accurate and whatnot. So yeah, strongly disagree. I don't know. Some people are naturally unlucky. I don't know. Strongly disagree. No. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. No, I don't think that's important. As long as they plant like proper moral compass, then yeah. Strongly disagree. I don't think that matters. For me, personally. Next page. Sex outside... Ooh, finally, a look at sex. Now we're getting interesting. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. No. Why would it be immoral? No, fuck you. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly agree, yeah. Again, what matters is that it's a two-parent household. It doesn't matter what sex or gender they are. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree, yeah. Why should it be illegal? But of course, if you reach like addiction levels, then there has to be some intervention, rehabilitation, but no, in general, it should not be illegal. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. Yes. Because like, yeah, yeah. Because like it becomes very troublesome, like if the state gets involved, especially if you're in a country like this. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree. No, this has been disputed, disproven by a multitude of studies that you can be naturally homosexual. So it's not just a choice, okay? Sometimes you don't have a choice. It's just who you are. It's part of your identity. So these days, openness about sex has gone too far. Strongly disagree. It's not far enough. All right, so yeah. Yeah, this is a breeze. Okay. Good, we're done. Let's see where you stand. Where am I? Ooh, I'm getting even further to the left. So, because like back then I used to be somewhere around here, like over here, and yet now I'm like all the way here. All right. -9 in terms of economic left, and I'm a very libertarian person. So there you go. That is the result. Again, this is just like a kind of like a foundation to see like where I'm at. Obviously, a lot of the propositions being raised are quite general, almost too general to the point that I can't really go into deep to it. They're not specific enough, which of course that is where the nuance comes in. But hey, I think this is a good place to start. I'll probably take the 9 values test next. Maybe the short one, because like the complete one is like 250 questions. That's like way too much. So yeah, I guess that is all for now. Maybe I will retake this in a year or two to see how I've changed. Maybe I'll go even further to the left, who knows. or become more moderate. Who knows? Okay, if you enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and ring the notification bell icon to satisfy the algorithm gods. And you'll also find my social down in the description and also in the end screen as well. On Instagram, you will see me like doing movie reviews, whereas on Twitter, I tend to be more political in regards to people that I follow, people that I like, and also the general tweets that I make. And yeah, I guess that's it. Next, I will take the 9 values test. I think that's about it. All right. I guess that is all for me for now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.